Okay, so as you can see, I saw this really interesting article on Quora. Uh, Article question, which goes something like this: My boyfriend called me his ex-wife's name whilst we're being intimate. He was half asleep, but he has cheated on me with his ex-wife and girlfriend. Am I nuts for staying with him? Is this a sign? So I wanted to just comment on this and maybe give some thoughts to who was it who asked this question. Doesn't actually say who asked the question, so whoever it is. And I hope that it can help you in some way and it can add some value to your life. By the way, before I get into this, because I keep being told I need to ask this, please, guys, if you want to help me achieve my goal, which is to hit 1,000 subscribers by June, please can you like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And also, if you like the video, please like it because it helps the algorithm. Okay, cool. So let's go into this. Firstly, I think it's a great question. Um, I always truly believe that women have instincts, and women's instincts are very, very rarely wrong. 9 times out of 10, a woman's instinct and intuition is right. And I think a lot of women have been conditioned and have grown up in a world where they've been told to doubt their intuition, to use logic. And of course, there is a place for logic, but 9 times out of 10, I say to women, when it comes to relationships, you have to use your intuition, particularly when it comes to things like cheating, anything like infidelity, anything like there's something you think that your partner is ill, your partner may not is feeling a bit depressed or anything like that. A woman's intuition 9 times out of 10 is right. I don't know why. I could, of course, I do know why. I could go into loads of research, but my point being is that most women pretty much know when something isn't right. Also, I love the fact that you said, "Is this a sign?" Because in that you're trying to that basically number one means that there are signs that you recognize that something isn't right, something is off. And actually, the reason why I say that this is really good and it's impressive is that I found that a lot of women live in delusion. A lot of women don't want to see how things actually are. They hope it's like this. I know that a lot of women, one of the things that I've learned about women is that women will disregard stuff depending on the amount that they've invested in a relationship. Meaning, if a woman has put 10 years into a relationship, even if all the instincts and all the evidence is telling them their partner is cheating, they will disregard it because they've invested so much into the relationship. And what I would say to you is that, look, if you're finding these signs and these clues, pay attention, right? You wouldn't be driving on a motorway and you see a sign saying danger, danger, accident ahead, and you continue driving at 85 miles an hour. You just wouldn't do that. You would think in the back of your mind, hold on a minute, whoa, 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 what is this going to mean? Why is everybody else slowing down? Why is this happening? You would stop and examine it, right? You would look at the signs and pay attention. Well, why should it be any different in your relationship? Pay attention to the signs, right? One of the things that I always believe, and I've always said to women, which I learned actually from my friend Tash. I used to have a friend of mine called Tash, and Tash was in a relationship, well, and I think she still is, in a relationship with a guy who was abusive to her. And I learned from Tash that if you don't know what your standards are and you've never defined them, when they get crossed, you will allow them to continue being crossed. Meaning, if you've never, when you get into a relationship, I truly believe that you should know. In fact, actually, let me put it another way. So I'm writing this booklet at the moment, which has because I'm going to be a marriage counselor and I'm going to be doing marriage counseling, and I have this booklet which I'm writing at the moment, which has got pre-marriage counseling questions. And one of the pre-marriage questions in that booklet is, what thing would your partner do that if they did this thing, you would go and file for divorce? And the reason why I put that in there is that if you do not define what your boundaries are, what your standards are, when somebody breaks them, you wouldn't even know that the person has broken them, right? You wouldn't know. How would, if your line is in the sand and is not definitive and you've not thought about it, if somebody crosses it, you're just going to say, yeah, but it was that one time. And particularly for women, something that I've noticed women do, which I've tried my best to try and understand, but women are very good at doing this, which is that women, I talk about it in that booklet as snapshotting, picturing, right? A lot of when you go on like Instagram and Facebook, you see a snapshot, you see a picture which is taken instantly. I don't know if you've ever seen like on like feeds or TikTok where somebody's gone to like an amazing place and they've taken a picture and then they've shown like this line of people actually that the place looks lonely and secluded, but then they show the reality, which is that there is this line of people who are all lining up, or it's actually ugly, or it's actually dirty. It's not as it is the picture presents it. And women, I've noticed, have this habit of snapshotting, where instead of seeing their relationship as a film, as a roll tape, they see it in snapshots. So their partner cheats, or their partner does something which is awful, their partner hits them, or their partner gets really angry and verbally abuses them, and they will seclude it as that's one event. Yeah, by Kasim, that was when he was drunk. Yeah, by Kasim, that was when we were both arguing. Instead of seeing the role, seeing the patterns, seeing it as okay, well, no, it wasn't one time because he did it then and then and then, and he did that and he did that, and all of a sudden you see this continuity where it's like, whoa, I'm in an abusive relationship. I remember there was a woman who was my friend who I was talking to, and she was explaining to me how she was in an abusive relationship, and I said, how can you have been in an abusive relationship? You're well educated. You're very clever. You're very conscious. You're a good person. How did you get into a relationship? How did you even know that you were in a relationship? And she said to me, well, Kasim, I remember I was pregnant and I went to, basically, we'd got into an argument and my partner had punched me. And I went to the hospital, and when I was sat in reception waiting in the hospital, there was a leaflet above me and in front of me on a like a pillar. And she said, when I was looking at the leaflet and I was reading it, it was saying about the signs of abuse. And it was like going down, and it was saying if you have these are the signs of abuse, and then it started going downwards and she was like, I was reading it and I was like, I have that. Oh, and that's happened to me, and that's happened to me. And she's like, Kasim, I was like, oh my God, I'm in an abusive relationship, right? And that's what happens for a lot of women. So I would say to you, if there is signs, there's a reason why you're seeing the signs. There's a reason why your intuition is saying this to you, right? You're not crazy. You're not mad. There is a reason why you're thinking like this. So that's the first thing. The next thing that I would share with you is have a conversation, right? There, so many of us make assumptions which are wrong, right? We think things are a certain way. And they're not. It's interesting. I wrote down something in my diary recently. I haven't got my diary with me to hand right now as I'm recording this because it's over there. But I wrote down in my diary something to the effect of that the duration of a marriage or relationship is not equal to the knowledge of your partner. What I meant by that statement is a lot of people make the assumption that if I've been married to somebody for 10 years, if I've been married to somebody for 20 years, they should know me. They should know how I feel. They should know what I like. They should know how I behave and what I would do or I wouldn't do. And to a certain degree, that's correct. But actually, I disagree with that statement to a part, because if you're growing, if you're having children, if you're developing, there is no way that you can want the same things. I know, and I've heard from a lot of people that your appetite when you're 20 and you're 30 is completely different to when you're 50 and 60, right? There are things that you hated when you're in your 20s and 30s that actually you love when you're in your 50s and 60s. There are things that you absolutely loved when you're in your 20s and 30s that are completely different. What you prioritize is going to be completely different, because when you are just the two of you and you have no kids, your priorities are going to be completely different. You can have sex wherever you want, and you can be able to walk around the house naked and do whatever you want and leave the house and go on as many holidays. But when you have children, you can't do that. For example, something that I say to couples which they struggle with, which is intimacy. And I say to them, you have to schedule in intimacy when you have very young children, right? Because you're too busy. There are things that you have to do. There is duties within a relationship that you have to engage in, right? You have to do cleaning, you have to do washing, you have to do ironing, you have to do cooking, you have to do feeding, you have to do waking up in the morning, you have to do putting things in the dishwasher, taking them out, doing the lawn. There are duties that you have to do in a relationship, and because of that, you ain't got time to be worrying about sex as much as you love each other. So you actually have to schedule it in. And people usually become very defensive. They're like, well, Kasim, that's going to be romantic. But actually, sometimes, you know what you have to do? You have to take it wherever you can get it, right? And that's just the reality of how some relationships are. You just have to take it however you can take it. But my point being is, going back to my point, is that you have to communicate with each other. Have a conversation. Babes, this is how I'm feeling, or pumpkin, or monkey, or honey bear. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I believe. This is what I think could be happening. And here's the thing that I've realized, particularly when it comes to communication. Women have a habit of, what's the word? They have a habit of accusing, right? Instead of coming and being inquisitive and examining, right? And coming with a curious or trying to understand what is actually happening. And so what I would share with you is talk to your partner and ask him or her, what's going on? This is what I believe. This is the evidence that I think is happening. Now, in understanding this, if you ask this question, you have to be prepared for an answer that which you don't want. The answer which you may not want is that your partner might say no. In fact, you can almost guarantee your partner is going to say no, right? Because if you're saying that your boyfriend cheated on you previously with their ex-wife, right, and an ex-girlfriend, that means there's a very likely chance, and you took him back, because look, as much as I know there's going to be some people listening to this and they're like, if anyone cheats on me, you can't take them back, blah, blah, blah. There are some good people who make a mistake, right? There are some good men, genuinely, who are good men who make foolish mistakes. Some of us guys, in fact, I would say not some, the majority of guys, it takes us a little while to figure shit out. It takes us a little while to get that this shit is not acceptable. It's always fascinating for me that the amount of times men get given divorce papers by their partners and they will say, she blindsided me. I had no idea. And the woman's like, are you nuts? I said to you, we need counseling. I said, can we go to therapy? I said to you, can we talk about this? And the woman has done all these things, but the man just hasn't got the magnitude of what the woman's talking about. And so, guys, sometimes it takes us a little while to figure it out. And sometimes we genuinely, look, when you're in a relationship, you can have genuinely someone who's got a great income, they're exactly what you want, they've got great attributes, they're a great father, they're a great partner, they make you feel good, that you like the same things and passions, but they generally are cheating on you, which you don't agree with and which you don't want. And so you have to weigh it up, and so a lot of women do take their partner back. But as I say, you have to be prepared to get an answer which you're not going to like. If you're prepared for him to give you an answer which is, I'm not doing anything, is nothing, and you will be able to sit within yourself and be happy with that, then you should have the conversation. If you know that if your partner is if you're going to him and only looking for one answer, which is that he isn't cheating, then you're going to have a serious problem on your hands. You have to be open to all the possibilities, right? Because if you're not, you're going to be unhappy. And here's where it's going to mess you even up more. If you would not be happy if he tells you that he's not cheating, then you have a problem. But essentially that means you know he's cheating. Because if he tells you I'm not cheating and you still are like, yeah, I think he is, the problem is no longer him now. The problem is with you. You have to be able, because, you know, there is a lot of things that a lot of us don't put to bed. Right? You have to get to the point where you know what your standards are, you know what you stand for. A lot of women don't want to be alone. But the thing is And look, I'm all for relationships and I'm all for sustaining a relationship. But my question to you is, and again, this is now going back to the first point, which we talk about the signs and looking at the clues and the red flags. Let's just look at the narrative. Let's look at, I talk about the life curve, relationship curve. Look at the relationship curve. Look at somebody's narrative, right? For example, let's take me. I got involved with drink driving. I made loads of mistakes. I got myself in debt. But my life curve is completely different now, right? Like you can see my life is improved. You can actually look at my life and realize, oh God, this guy actually genuinely is different. His life is different. My question to you is your partner different? Is his life curve different? Is his relationship different? If he cheated on you previously with his wife or his ex-girlfriend, is he improving? Is he getting better? Has he learned his lesson? Because if he hasn't, that means he's not on a learning curve. That means everything is just being repeated over and over and over again, which means the same thing is going to happen. He hasn't got the message. He doesn't understand the magnitude. You're not on the same level. So either you have to accept it and leave, or just accept it and stay. One of the two things has to happen. But I've always said that ultimately you have to make the decision. A lot of people want the other person to make the decision for them. But in this particular situation, you're going to have to make the decision for yourself, is what I would recommend to you. But it's your life. Do as you wish. So I hope that has helped you out. I don't know whether it's added any value to you or not. Please like and subscribe to my channel, guys, if you find this useful. But apart from that, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.